Hi, thanks for checking out a little video here. This is going to be a little bit different from what we normally do on our channel here. We usually show repair videos, how things work, how to fix things, how to test things, review videos on electric fence boxes and livestock scales and low bars and stuff like that. Well, anyways, I made a video on this particular unit probably like 5-6 years ago. Been a number of years ago. Used an old cell phone that we had, and the camera wasn't very good, so it's kind of glitchy or kind of pixelated a little bit when you get zoomed in real close. And 5-6 years ago, cameras on your cell phones have come a long way in 5-6 years. So, and I didn't even talk in that one. I kind of showed it working, zoomed in on what it was doing, and I believe this is the same charger. I hope it is. This is just a personal unit we've acquired somehow. I don't remember how we got it, but it's an old Sears. I don't think Sears made it, but somebody made it for Sears, maybe Parmak or somebody did back in the day. Well, this is probably like a 1950s or 40s or something like that. Maybe 60s, maybe if we're really pushing it, but it's an old, probably 40s or 1940s, 1950s unit. It's a mechanical unit. It is dual powered. Uh, Runs off 110 volt or 6 volt, not 12 volt, because you remember back in the day, cars and tractors and stuff were mostly 6 volt, so 12 volt wasn't really around much yet. Things hadn't been quite developed quite yet, so they just made 6 volt fence chargers back then. That way, they could use a tractor battery in these things, or not have to go out and buy some special thing. So yeah, this is either 6 volt or 110, 120 volt. You got this. You get to pick between, do you want to check it, or do you want to just run it off battery? There's off, 110 volt. And you can also, I don't remember much on this. The cord's missing on the thing. It's been chewed off or rotted off on the bottom. I think we ran this off of a 6 volt thing. This is an old mechanical unit. It's all metal case. But this is a unit we got some time back. I don't know how we acquired it exactly. We got on eBay or what. I believe it's the same one. Hopefully it still works. It's been sitting. We don't use it, of course. But there's the inside. Pretty neat. It's got this old mechanical wheel on there that bounces back. It's almost like an old ignition points on an old car, sort of. There's point contacts. I can't really get this out here. I don't know how the hell they worked on these things back in the day. They must have, it's all riveted to the case. I can't even see. I have a little light over here, but anyway, it's too dark to see. But there's light. There's like 3 rivets down here holding this plate to the thing. So maybe you had to drill the rivets out and pull this whole assembly out of there. But there's there's a set of points right here that make contact, and those are, yeah, they're pretty tarnished up, because like an old points ignition on a car, every once in a while it sit for a while where you got to take a little file or sandpaper and clean those points up on both the upper and lower ones. So this one hopefully still works. Well, if it won't, probably what we'll have to do to get it going. And there's the capacitor. It is a, hey, look, made in USA. That's a 6,000 mic. I don't know what that. I don't know. I can test it and see. All right. Well, let's get this. Get my phone here set up in the camera holder, phone holder thing, so we can play around here. Let's see, where's the battery hookup at? Dust and cobwebs on. Looks like the 6 volt hooks up here. Positive or negative, positive. You've got your ground down here, and it has 2 different fence connections. It has normal and dry. I imagine it's kind of like a high-low kind of power. So if you got really dry ground, instead of adding some extra ground rods, you could hook up to here, maybe get a little more power to the fence. So let's turn my power supply down and put it 6.7 volts. Grab the power supply connections. We'll scoot this over a little bit. Come on, get over here. Negative. positive. And see the AC cord is right here, but see it's all chewed up. You know, for being a 1940s or 50s model, see these little just plastic string gauge, or I don't know, they call it something that holds the cord in place. There's a word for it. I don't remember now, but they still use those today. You know, 80 years ago, 80 years later, 70 years later, they still use it today. The same style, anyways. So some things have changed, some things have stayed the same. All right, well, let's just see what happens. I'm going to turn it over to battery. Look at that. Not moving the greatest of like how it should. That spring's probably worn a little bit. Let's turn it off for a second. And it could be those contacts on here also, you know, dirty. This is just contact cleaner, nothing. It's not lubrication of any kind yet. To see if it can clean things up a little bit. I don't have a file or a knife or anything here to. I mean, you get some little hands to get in here. All right, let's turn it back on. I can hear it arcing down there every once in a while. Those points need to be clean, but still enough to make it work. All right, let's tilt this thing. Let me look at something real quick. I see down the center, behind the little. Here, I'll turn it off for a second. Down inside here, there's a little spring, cold spring there. It's like almost like an old watch. As it comes around, it tightens up, and that's tension is what helps fling it back the way it came. And it came out with this style of fence charger back in the 30s. You know, so they probably ran this type of idea of a fence charger, mechanical, electromechanical, for probably 30 years or so. You know, to the 1960s maybe. But another thing that's nice about it is has this little light in the front. Has a you could, I guess, test your battery. See, turn the light off for a second. See if it makes it flash. Camera's not always picking it up, but it flashes every single time. And imagine if you had on AC and did the same test. AC test, that light would flash too. So let's go ahead and turn it off for a second. I don't want to get shocked by this thing by accident. Even though it won't hurt terribly bad, it will hurt enough. Now, this being an electromechanical type of fence tester, not a digital one, this might have a little load to the unit. So let's go across the normal fence terminal, or normal fence condition terminal. Hook it to ground down here. Turn it back on. Usually they're a bit higher than that. Let me turn it off for a second. There's also those terminals down there all rusted. So it could be that it's just needs to be cleaned up and everything. Ground lugs all crusty and dry. You might even hook it to the frame of it because the frame's ground too. But let's just hook it back up here. I thought I had a way back when I first messed with this thing. I think it needed to be sitting. I want to get a better reading. Now we're still getting about 2,000 volt reading out of it. That's what it says. Let's take that ground side of the tester and let's hook it to the frame. See if that makes a difference at all. No difference there. And this thing is like 70, 80 years old or whatever. 60, 70, 80 years old. Yeah, it's more than 60. Probably 70, 80, shit, who knows, 90 years old. You know, so I'm sure this thing isn't running as good as it was 50, 60 years ago. Plus, it just sits around in our place all the time. But there's a capacitor down there. I'm sure it's weak. This capacitor, which might be on the AC side, I don't know what it exactly does. It could be weak. This is definitely not spinning all the way around like it's supposed to. And it's probably because the points are dirty. So I might be able to clean it a little bit better if I get. Let me get my wire brush here. It needs to be filed down. Let me get some. It needs not filed down, but sanded down a little. And I can't even get to that one underneath. I think it is flipping out more than it was before. But I can hear it arcing down every once in a while when it snaps against there. I'm sure that has a little bit to do with I bet this plate back here underneath is probably dirty. And I don't really have a way of, besides getting like some sandpaper, sandwich it between there, a little thin piece, and then rubbing it back and forth, you know, keeping a little tension on this so it smashes it between there. But the only way to really clean it, and I don't have anything sitting right here available, so I have to got this stuff, got some leftover desolder braid, sandwich it between them. Maybe it's got some rough contact to it. Maybe I need a small file. That probably didn't do much. Alright, turn it back on again. Either way, it's pretty neat. And a capacitor down inside there's two capacitors, and one over here by this little transformer, and one down. So that's the main one for the. So, oh, Yeah, see, it's still arcing on this little contact, and it snaps together. There's a little arc coming from it. Speaking of arc, turn it off for a second. Let's see what kind of arc this thing throws. Let's go between. We've got the two terminals here. We've got this is your normal fence conditions. This is your dry fence conditions. That's crunchy. It needs new bolts and new nuts and washers. We probably clean the bolt, but we probably replace all the washers and all the wing nuts on there. It's pretty janky. Let's see. Just we'll turn it on, and I'll put a screwdriver between the normal fence conditions and the ground of the case, and we'll jump over here to the dry conditions. See if it's any different. Let me bring the camera down here and we turn it on. It's hard to do one-handed. The dry side definitely has a little bit more power coming out of it. I mean, this thing doesn't. I wouldn't touch it. And the camera's not always picking it up. Camera's not always picking it up, but it's neat either way. Neat piece of history when it comes to electric fence stuff. Yeah, I remember this pretty crude stuff, but back then, for what it was designed to do, probably worked a lot better 60, 70, 80 years ago when it was not so old and wore out than it does right now. But hey, still clicks, still flashes, still puts out something. You know, I would never rely on this for anything serious the way it sits right now. But if it was if we could clean it up, fix it up, stuff like that. Oh, but I got so many repairs and so many units to do, and I don't have time for anything fun like this. This would be like, well, we're in a part of February already of 2022, and even though it's sort of slower time of the year, we're still pretty steady. So I don't have time to sit here and mess around with this stuff like I'd like to. But I would say the transformer is probably okay. It is pretty rough looking, but I imagine that capacitor is probably weak. The capacitor down there is probably weak. I gotta figure out with this capacitor exactly how it works with the 110 volt part of things. And the contacts, I need to get a little file, and it needs to be cleaned. I'll probably go online and find some points file that just made for points on a ignition of a car, old car. That would probably help clean it up a lot better. That might get rid of that arcing, because anytime it arcs, that's voltage loss. It's not making it all the way through to here to get to wherever it's got to go to get out. But anyways, hopefully you like this kind of stuff. You know, I enjoy working on the things, but it's kind of a different kind of video than we normally do. So I got a pile of old units that we've acquired, mechanical, non-mechanical, weed burners, weird oddball brands. I mean, I could fill a wall full of them. They may not all work, but it'd be a neat conversation piece on the wall. But well, anyways, if you'd like to send us a repair, if you got a fence charger to be looked at, we work on about anything except for maybe these real old ones. We try to work on them. There's some things we can do to these things. You just don't get them in that often because nothing like this has been made in 60 plus years. So anyways, until next time, we'll see you guys later on. Subscribe to the channel if you like. Hit that thumbs up button. Share this video to your friends that might get a kick out of something like this. I'm sure they'd enjoy old mechanical, electrical stuff like this, especially if they're into farming and electric fence and stuff like that. But anyways, until next time, we'll see you later on, and have a good day. No, unhook the battery from it. Oh well.